Welcome back to the world of Stranger Things. Netflix just dropped the official Stranger Things Season 5 final trailer, and holy cow, did they absolutely over-deliver with this one. Last teaser, we were saying they didn't spoil anything, and maybe we'll just go into this season completely blind. But nope, they threw that right out the window, because this trailer delivers so many huge answers to all of our questions we've been talking about for months now. A full 2 minutes and 30 seconds worth of completely new footage. I cannot believe how much they decided to show us with this trailer. And so now we're going to go through every scene frame by frame and unpack every ounce of information we can from this thing. Buckle up and subscribe, because this is going to be a long one and you're not going to want to miss any of the upcoming Stranger Things videos I've got next. So to start us off strong, we see this scene of the entire gang standing by until they start to burn. Mike is talking to everyone over the walkie-talkies and starts counting down. This is most likely in efforts to push back the vines from the upside down. Ever since the massive Hellgate portal opened up at the end of Season 4, the upside down has started to seep into Hawkins and literally infect the town. So much so that it looks like the military officially has to step in to try to stop it. The coordination here is really interesting because it seems like everyone has their specific role to play. Mike's taking charge with the countdown, which makes sense since we've seen him really step into that leadership position more and more as the show has gone on. I really like that they're showing us this organised effort right from the start. It sets the tone that this final season is going to be all hands on deck, everyone working together to fight back against Vecna and the upside down. But first we see Steve in the new WSQ radio station van, and he's manually turning the radio antenna on top of the van to tune into the proper frequency, and he points it towards the radio tower behind the station. I really like the look of this new van so far. The design is so retro and fits perfectly with the 80s aesthetic they've maintained throughout the entire show. I feel like the van and the radio antenna both are going to play such large roles this season. We've seen in behind-the-scenes footage and pictures that they'll be attaching a similar antenna to the top of this car that they will be driving into the upside down with. And it seems like this will be the gang's solution to communications, while some of them are in the upside down. I mean, that's actually genius when you think about it. Back in Season 4, we saw how difficult it was for them to communicate between dimensions. They had to use the lights and spell things out letter by letter, which was so time-consuming and inefficient. So having a direct radio connection would be a massive upgrade for their coordination. I wonder if they'll be able to maintain the signal while they're down there, or if there will be interference from all the upside-down energy. We get this beautiful brand new title card showing us vines all over the ground, with each of the 4 boys' bikes abandoned here. I don't like what this is inferring, but still this looks really good. The imagery is so powerful and ominous. These bikes have been such an iconic symbol throughout the entire series, representing the boys' childhood and their adventures together. Seeing them abandoned and covered in vines feels like it's showing us that childhood is officially over. They're not kids on bikes anymore. They're soldiers in a war. The vines covering everything is such a stark visual representation of how much the upside down has taken over Hawkins at this point. It's not just creeping in at the edges anymore, it's everywhere. I really hope all 4 of them make it through this season, but I have a bad feeling that the symbolism here is pointing towards something tragic. Maybe one of them won't make it back to their bike. That would be absolutely devastating. Then we see the van pull away, followed by Mike and Lucas on bikes. We got some behind-the-scenes footage of this too, which was really cool to see them filming on location. But if we look in the background, we can see someone came out to see them off. And if we zoom in and enhance, we can see that this is 11. She's got the shorts over her pants we've been seeing a lot of in the promotional material, and it looks like a bandana around her neck. I like that after Will got sick breathing in the spores, while he was in the upside down for so long, back in Season 2, everyone seems to be wearing some sort of protection for breathing in the air while they're in there. That's probably for the best. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be coughing up any slugs when I get home either. That whole sequence in season 2 where Will was possessed and coughing up those creatures was so disturbing. It makes total sense that they'd learn from that experience and take precautions this time around. 11 standing there watching them go is such a bittersweet moment. You can tell she wants to be out there with them, but maybe she has her own mission to focus on. Or maybe she's still recovering her powers and can't help yet. And then it cuts to the rest of the gang in the basement of the radio station. We have our first look at Nancy, and we finally get a good look at Robin beside her. And then 11 and Will are chilling over here as well, intently listening to the reports coming in. And then would you look, who is on the mic herself? It's Mama Joyce, and it's so nice to see her back in action. I really can't wait to see everyone together in the same town working towards the same thing this final season. For so long, the group has been split up with some in California, some in Russia, some in Hawkins. Having everyone finally united and coordinating together is going to make for such powerful moments. Joyce on the radio makes perfect sense too, because she's always been the one keeping everyone connected and informed. She's like the emotional center of the entire group, always making sure everyone is safe and accounted for. The basement of the radio station seems like it's going to be their command center for operations. It's got all the equipment they need to stay in touch with the teams in the field. We cut back to Nancy and Robin. Nancy looks very worried for her little brother Mike. I'm sure at this point, especially after the time skip at the beginning of this season, she's really going to have to accept that he will be on the front lines fighting the Upside Down himself, just like everybody else. He's not this little kid that's her little brother anymore. He's basically an adult now, or at least he looks like it. And from another tease we saw, he's definitely going to be putting himself in harm's way and embracing the leadership role of the gang this season. Nancy's protective instincts toward Mike have always been such a sweet part of her character. Even when she's been off doing her own investigation or dealing with her relationship drama, she's always kept an eye on her little brother. But you can see how worried she is about him here. She knows what's coming and she knows Mike won't back down from the fight. It's got to be terrifying for her to watch him ride off into danger like that. Will and 11 look terrified for Mike too, both for the same reason, ironically. I'm curious to see how their dynamic will play out this season and how much Will's feelings for Mike will be developed. I feel like we have so many other things that we've been building up to, but just the same, this is another piece of the puzzle that needs resolution. Will's been struggling with his feelings for Mike since at least season 3, maybe even longer. And 11 and Mike's relationship has been tested so many times throughout the series. Having both of them worried about Mike from different emotional places is really interesting. Will's concern comes from this deep, unspoken love that he's been carrying. 11's concern comes from her romantic love and their established relationship. I wonder if there will be any moments of tension between them, or if they'll bond over their shared care for Mike's safety. Either way, Noah Schnapp and Millie Bobby Brown both look incredible in this shot. Lucas looks sick in this outfit for the mission. It looks like he's in some sort of a outpost watching the burn itself about to start and counting down. The jacket he's wearing is so cool and practical for what they're doing. And then maybe Mike is closer to the radio tower with binoculars watching Lucas count down and reporting back to the station. The coordination between them shows how much they've grown as a team. These aren't the same kids who were just playing Dungeons and Dragons in Mike's basement anymore. They've become this well-oiled machine, each person, knowing their role and executing it perfectly. Lucas has always been the athletic one, the one who's good under pressure and can keep a level head in dangerous situations. So having him at a forward position makes total sense. And Mike, being the communicator, relaying information back and forth, that's exactly where his strengths lie. He's the planner, the strategist. I really love seeing how each character's natural abilities have been utilised in this coordinated effort. And then the next shot is what looks to be maybe a military bunker filled with children. All young children. This is so weird that it's all kids around the same age. With the shots we've gotten of Mike protecting the others and Vecna coming after Holly, there's going to be some weird kidnappings going on in Hawkins. I don't know why, but hide your kids because Vecna is coming for them. This is such a disturbing image. Why would there be a bunker full of children? Is the military keeping them there for protection? Or is something more sinister going on? We know from Season 4 that Vecna targets people with trauma, people who are vulnerable. And kids are some of the most vulnerable people there are. Maybe he's specifically going after children because they're easier to manipulate or control. Or maybe there's something about children's minds that he needs for whatever his ultimate plan is. Even here, all the lights are going haywire, which usually means something from the upside down is nearby or trying to break through. Those poor kids must be terrified. And then finally, we get a close-up shot of Hopper. I don't know why, but they've been holding him back the most from us in all the promotional material. We've barely seen anything. Maybe a split second of behind-the-scenes footage and a couple of pictures. It looks like he too is in some sort of bunker, probably helping watch the burn or coordinate the military response. If you look in his ear, you can see he's wearing an earpiece, which is actually so smart. He can stay in communication without having a walkie-talkie going off loudly, attracting all the demogorgons nearby. This is such a clever, tactical decision. Hopper's military background is really showing through here. He knows how to operate in dangerous situations, how to stay stealthy and maintain communications without compromising his position. The earpiece means he's probably the closest to danger or the upside down at this point. He's the one who needs to stay quiet because any sound could alert the monsters to his location. I mean, we've seen how sensitive demogorgons are to noise. One walkie-talkie crackle and he could be swarmed. And look at this next shot. Oh my gosh, I mean, just the first frame. Look at Nancy's face, something big is about to go down. The expression on her face is pure shock and concern. The lights are acting up worse than they were a second ago, flickering rapidly like something is drawing massive amounts of power or energy. And look at Will. Oh my gosh, it looks like he's in a Vecna trance. He's doing that eye twitch thing when he gets taken over by Vecna or the Mind Flayer. But here in the basement so early on, that would be nuts. We were speculating that we would see some actual powers from Will, or that he would train them and expand them since he already has some connection to the Upside Down. Since he's still connected to the hive mind, he can still hear and feel what they're doing over there. It would be really cool if he got to the point where he was able to control some monsters to an extent like Vecna does, turn that connection into an advantage instead of just a vulnerability. We see him in the previous teaser after he maybe uses these upgraded powers. He's slumped down on Joyce here in the background, completely exhausted. This is the same thing that happens to Eleven each time she overexerts herself. It's like a battery draining. Now he needs a recharge. Here's another shot of Will touching his neck, where the tingle sensation happens. I think they spammed this visual as much as they could in Season 3, and while I'm sure we're going to see more of it, I think we all really want to see something more than just Will feeling things through the hive mind connection. So expanding on his powers and making them stronger or a little more useful would make a lot of sense narratively. It would give Will something active to do instead of just being the victim or the warning system. He deserves to be powerful in his own right. He's been through so much, survived so much trauma. Let him be a weapon against Vecna. Let him turn his curse into a strength. And real quick, before we keep going, did you know that only a tiny percentage of everybody watching this video right now is actually subscribed? Come on guys, what are you doing? That's so low. Go hit that subscribe button really quick and share this with your Stranger Things friends. If you enjoy these deep dive breakdowns, I'm going to be making a whole bunch more as we get closer to the release date. I've got theories, Easter egg hunts, character analysis videos, all sorts of content coming your way. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of it. Alright, back to the trailer breakdown. And then next, here's a shot of all the military helicopters and transport trucks, all mobile, moving in formation. While on the side of the road is Mike, Will, and his little sister, Holly, it looks like, on bikes. Yeah, that's definitely Holly. You can see the white basket with the flower on the front of her bike. They're on some kind of mission, it seems like, but they're in the middle of nowhere with absolutely nothing in the near background. It almost seems like they have to be headed towards town. I mean, they could be extremely far away from anything, but, 10 to 20 miles on a bike is like an hour and a half, I feel like. At that point, they would probably just drive. But if they are going back to town, so are the helicopters. And then these trucks are leaving in the opposite direction, which is interesting. Maybe the military is evacuating people, while Mike, Will and Holly are heading into danger. That would be very on brand for these characters. Everyone else is running away from the threat, and they're riding their bikes straight toward it. This next shot is really cool. This shows the epicenter of the massive Hellgate portal from the end of Season 4, right in the middle of town, too. It literally happened at the back of this massive building with the bell tower. This is the Hawkins Library. It looks like the military barricaded a perimeter around the block with these massive walls, and then they reinforced the building itself on each side, which is crazy. The scale of the military response is incredible. You know what? Let's think back to the end of Season 4, just as a refresher. The ground was literally cracking open, splitting the town into pieces. The front of the building was falling apart as all the cracks came together, and it happened right at this location. Cut back to now, and it's the exact same spot. It's crazy to see the building is still standing after all that destruction. You can see the red light from the portal coming out the end of the building, and then there's this ramp here that leads up to it. And there's also some Humvees here in the background too. It looks like they put scaffolding on the sides of the building to access the top. I wonder how much they're here to go into the portal versus protect the town from things coming out of it. Because it really could go either way. Are they trying to seal it from this side? Are they trying to go through and take the fight to the upside down? Or are they just setting up defensive positions to contain whatever comes through? It's also crazy that they foreshadowed this at the end of Season 4 with that nice long shot of the library, showing us what it looks like with the vines crawling up the side of the building. It's insane how different it looks now, with the portal actively glowing and the barricaded walls and everything. The Duffer Brothers really knew what they were doing with that shot. They were showing us exactly where the final battle would take place. And here's a nice close-up, which I'm really surprised they showed us. Here's the entire front of it. The actual portal itself looking just like the one in Season 2 that the Mind Flayer tried to come through. And there are just soldiers absolutely everywhere, positioned at multiple levels, all with their weapons ready. When the Demogorgons come, this is going to be a bloodbath. I hope there's so many of them. And it's just carnage. I want to see what they showed us last season, with the Demogorgons attacking the prison in Russia, but times 10, times 100. Do it. We know you have the budget for it. The portal itself is pulsing with this red energy, and you can see it's not stable. It's fluctuating, which probably means things are going to start coming through soon. Those soldiers have no idea what they're about to face. Regular military weapons weren't very effective against Demogorgons in previous seasons. Bullets slow them down, but don't kill them easily. Fire works better, but even that's not a guarantee. Then we cut to a somewhat random shot of Dustin visiting Eddie's grave. His tombstone reads, Eddie Munson, now at peace, 1966 to 1986, meaning he was just 20 years old when he died. I'm honestly kind of surprised they couldn't come up with anything more meaningful to put on his tombstone, like died a hero or rock on forever, or gone too soon, never forgotten. Something more than now at peace, because even now it seems like he's not at peace. Somebody wrote burn in hell over his grave in what looks like blood or red paint made to look like blood. Most likely this is the work of the jocks we see bullying Dustin in the behind-the-scenes footage. And here's the shot of him before he gets all roughed up, while his face is still all beautiful and not bruised. Unfortunately, that won't last very long. Eddie's death was one of the most heartbreaking moments of Season 4. He sacrificed himself to save the others, playing master of puppets to distract the Demobats. And what does he get? His name dragged through the mud even after death. The fact that people in Hawkins still think he was some kind of satanic cult leader or murderer is so frustrating. Dustin knows the truth. Dustin was there when Eddie made his heroic last stand. And now he has to watch as people desecrate his friend's grave. I really hope we get some kind of moment where Dustin gets to defend Eddie's legacy publicly. Maybe during the chaos of the final battle, Dustin will do something heroic and people will finally start to understand that Eddie's friends aren't the bad guys. They're the ones who've been trying to save Hawkins this whole time. It's also interesting that Dustin is visiting the grave at this particular moment, right before everything is about to hit the fan. Maybe he's saying goodbye one last time before going into the final battle. Maybe he's promising Eddie that he'll finish what they started. And here's that same shot of Max they've been spamming with all the promos. Her and Hopper both. They've given us almost nothing new with them. But spoilers, make sure you watch until the end of this video, because we do see a brand new shot of Max in this promo, and she's not in this bed. Lucas grabs Max's hand, and then we see him shed a tear. It's been over a year, and she's still in this coma. Yeah, her heart might still be beating, and she's technically still alive, but it wouldn't be crazy to see him start to lose hope, or just miss her so much here. I think more than anything else, we need to see Max come out of this coma this season, so she and Lucas can go on their movie date they were supposed to go on back at the end of season 4. That date at the movies was supposed to be their fresh start, their chance to really be together after all the back and forth between them. And then Vecna took it all away. Lucas sitting by her bedside for over a year, holding her hand, talking to her, even though she can't respond, is absolutely devastating. Caleb McLaughlin is going to break our hearts with his performance this season. I can already tell. The way he's looking at her in this shot, the tear rolling down his cheek, you can feel all the pain and love and desperation. He wants her to wake up so badly. He'd do anything to bring her back. I really hope the Duffer brothers don't kill Max off for real. She's been through enough. She survived Vecna's attack through sheer force of will and the power of her favourite song. She deserves to wake up and actually live. She deserves to have that date with Lucas. She deserves to heal from all the trauma she's endured. Come on, Duffer brothers. Give us this one happy ending at least. And then this is interesting. This is the inside of the military compound in the centre of town, right at the portal location. There's soldiers with flame retardant gear and flamethrowers trying to burn away the portal we just saw. This is happening literally right where we saw the red glowing energy. The soldiers are on this ramp and they're trying to fight back with the only way they know how. Fire. It seems like this is possibly what they were referring to in the opening shots of the trailer when Mike was coordinating the burn countdown. They went off to watch the burn to see if it was effective at all or if it angered the hive mind enough to unleash demogorgons on the town. But since Will is still connected to the hive mind, this might explain what was happening to him in that earlier scene, where his eyes were twitching. Do you remember in season 2 when he was infected by the mind flayer and Dr. Owens and the scientists over at Hawkins' lab were testing on him? They burned the slug that Will had coughed up, and Will was feeling the pain from that. It was as if they were burning him directly. This could be why he was twitching earlier in the radio station basement. Every time the military tries to burn these vines away, Will can feel it as if he's right there in the middle of the fire. I'm just surprised they didn't lay him down on the couch or something, or have someone look after him more carefully. He's just standing there in the middle of the room with no one paying close attention to him. Poor Will. I really hope he doesn't get the back seat again this season. It would be such a sad note to end his character arc on. He's been through so much, been so integral to the overall story, and yet he often gets overlooked in favour of the other characters' plotlines. Give Will his moment to shine. The flamethrowers don't seem to be too effective here either. You can't really see the red from the portal anymore in these flames, but I doubt this will solve their problem permanently. If anything, they'll probably agitate it into releasing some monsters into the town here. It seems like Hopper and Joyce are in his cabin on the end of his bed, maybe from this behind-the-scenes picture we saw a while back. I don't care what else happens to them, but I need to see them go on their date to Enzo's once this is all done and over. Joyce is wearing the fit we see her in at the radio station earlier, so this is all probably near the beginning of the show, maybe even the same day as the burn operation. She's fiddling with his shirt, which is kind of cute, but it means she's nervous for him, for his safety, for everything that's going on. I'm sure Hopper will be much more in harm's way now that he's back from Russia. Finally, he's going to do everything he can to fight back against the Upside Down and be on the front lines trying to beat Vecna, supporting 11. After everything he went through in that Russian prison, fighting the Demogorgon in the pit, surviving the brutal cold and torture, he's not going to sit back and let others take the risks. Joyce touching his shirt like that is such a tender moment. It's intimate and vulnerable. She's scared of losing him again. They just got him back after thinking he was dead for months. The idea of him going into danger again must be terrifying for her, but she also knows she can't stop him. That's not who Hopper is. He's a protector, a fighter. He'll throw himself into the fire if it means keeping the people he loves safe. And now that includes 11, who he's officially adopted as his daughter. He's not going to let anything happen to her. Joyce understands that about him, even if it scares her. That's why she's holding onto his shirt instead of trying to talk him out of it. She's just savouring this moment of closeness before he has to leave. Here we see the gang in the Upside Down, staring at Hawkins' lab. This gives us context to the behind-the-scenes shot we saw of them standing together, looking at something in the distance. We were wondering what they'd be staring down, so it's really nice to see these final shots. I wonder what they're going to need to retrieve from Hawkins' lab in the Upside Down that they can't retrieve from the actual Hawkins' lab in the real world. Maybe they need to go back in time, essentially, to 1983 Hawkins' lab, from Season 1. We know the Upside Down got stuck in 1983 when Will was taken, so the Hawkins' lab they're looking at would be frozen in that time period. Maybe there's something from the early days of 11's experiments, some piece of equipment or information that only exists in that version of the lab. Or maybe they need to access a part of the lab that's been destroyed in the real world but is still intact in the Upside Down version. Absolutely love to see Nancy with the shotgun once again. I can't wait to see her take on some Demogorgons, or better yet Vecna again, this season. Nancy with a gun has always been such a badass visual. She's the journalist, the investigator, but she's also a fighter when she needs to be. And she doesn't hesitate. I also can't help but feel like Vecna is going to be coming back stronger and wanting revenge for all the things they did to him at the end of Season 4. They set him on fire, Nancy shot him multiple times, and then he fell out of the attic window. He barely escaped with his life. If he's had time to heal and recover, he's probably been plotting his revenge this whole time. And you know he's going to go after Nancy, specifically. She's the one who shot him. She's the one who didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. Vecna holds grudges, and Nancy just put herself at the top of his list. Here's an awesome shot of the OG boys in the woods together. I am so happy they're going back to the Season 1 roots and putting everybody back together in the original kids group. They all look extremely worried and unsure here, huddled around something on the ground. They're using neighbourhood maps here from an address book or something to plan out a mission of some sorts. And here you can see the D&D pieces they like to use to represent monsters they'll be going up against or hoping to avoid. This is such a perfect callback to how they've always approached problems. Back in Season 1, they used the D&D board to explain the Upside Down to Mr. Clark. They've always used the game as a framework for understanding the supernatural threats they face. Seeing them do it again here in the final season is so emotionally satisfying. These are the same kids who started this journey together, and they're going to end it together, using the same tools and methods they've always used. I really like that Dustin is adopting Eddie's style a little more this season, with the rings on his fingers. But I really wish they gave him some of Eddie's actual rings to wear, so it feels like he's still fighting with them, like Eddie's spirit is still there. Or maybe these are Eddie's rings and we just can't tell from this distance. I feel like season 4's ending was so rushed, wrapping up so many loose ends that we didn't get proper closure to Eddie's passing. We never saw any of the gang besides Dustin reacting to his death. It would be really cool to see if Dustin gets to keep Eddie's guitar pick at the very least, just so he has a little bit of him still with him. Now he's fighting Vecna for vengeance, for Eddie, for everyone who's been lost to the Upside Down. The map and the D&D pieces show they're taking this seriously, planning every move carefully. They know one mistake could be fatal. Next we see Mike and Eleven together. Finally, some actual screen time for them as a couple. They're in Hopper's cabin here, in what looks like his bedroom or main living area. Eleven's in a wetsuit, sitting on top of a makeshift deprivation tank, like a giant bathtub that Hopper built for her. There's a big bag of salt next to it to make the water more dense, so she can halfway sink down and feel like she's floating. This helps her concentrate and slip into the mind state needed to travel into the void easier. We saw her use deprivation tanks back in Season 1 at Hawkins' lab, and then again in Season 2 when she went to find Carly. The sensory deprivation helps her focus her powers, blocks out all the external distractions. It's interesting that they had to build one for her at the cabin. Maybe the military won't let her use their facilities, or maybe she doesn't trust them, or maybe she just wants to work from somewhere that feels safe and familiar. Mike being there with her is really sweet. He's probably there to support her, to make sure she's okay when she comes out of the void. Going into the void can be dangerous and disorienting. Having someone there to ground her when she returns is important. I wonder what she's looking for in this particular session. Is she trying to locate Vecna? Is she trying to find Max's consciousness, wherever it's trapped? Is she trying to make contact with someone, or something else in the Upside Down? Eleven's powers are so central to everything that happens in this show. She's always been the key to fighting back against the Upside Down. And now with her powers returned, she's more important than ever. Mike's expression shows how much he cares about her, how worried he is for her safety, but he also trusts her. He knows how strong she is. Next, we get a shot of this very emotional conversation that Jonathan and Nancy are having in the Upside Down. Nancy is crying and Jonathan is trying to be consoling, his hand on her arm. It seems like leading up to this scene, he says that after all we've been through together, this thing, it ties us together forever, which is a little foreboding. I wonder if they're breaking up in this scene, or he's telling her it'll be okay, or if he's comforting her after she just went through something crazy like her mum or Holly went missing and she's distraught. The context is hard to read, but the emotion is crystal clear. Nancy is devastated about something. They look like they're indoors somewhere, maybe back in the Wheeler house, in the Upside Down version. I just really hope Jonathan doesn't die here. That ties us together forever line is giving me major Death Flag vibes. Like he's telling her that even if something happens to him, they'll always be connected. Don't do that to us, Duffer Brothers. Jonathan and Nancy's relationship has been so complicated throughout the series. They were together, then they grew apart, then there was the whole love triangle situation with Steve. If Jonathan dies right after they're finally getting back on the same page, that would be absolutely tragic. Nancy's been through so much, lost so much. Losing Jonathan too would break her, and Jonathan deserves better than to die right when he's finally getting his life together, finally figuring out his future. Charlie Heaton and Natalia Dyer have such great chemistry together. You can feel the history between their characters in every scene. Whatever's happening here, whatever Nancy's crying about, it's hitting hard. I'm not ready for this level of emotional pain. I thought I was, but I'm not. And then next, we get a 6-shot of Eleven suiting up in what looks to be the Upside Down in the Creel attic, where Vecna's last known location was. I mean, it's possible it's somewhere else in the Upside Down. If it was somewhere else, though, I don't know why she'd wait until now to cover her mouth with the bandana. It's cool she still has her bracelet from Hopper that he gave her. This was his last thing from his daughter Sarah, and he basically gave it to his other daughter. Well, I mean, he did adopt her legally, so 11 is Hopper's daughter now. The bracelet is such a meaningful symbol of their relationship. It represents Sarah's memory, but also Hopper's love for 11. He's giving her something precious, something that connects her to his past and his family. Also, this little ring is new. I wonder if it's from Mike. That would be really sweet too. Maybe Mike gave her a promise ring or something to symbolise their commitment to each other. 11 in the Creel attic is such a powerful visual. This is where everything went down at the end of season 4. This is where they fought Vecna, where Max nearly died, where Vecna fell. Now she's back, presumably, to finish what they started. The fact that she's covering her mouth suggests the air is toxic or dangerous, maybe filled with spores like what affected Will back in season 2. She's learned from their past mistakes. She's being careful, but she's also being brave. Going back to the place where Vecna nearly won takes incredible courage. 11 has always been the bravest person in this entire show. She's faced down monsters and government agents and interdimensional threats, all while dealing with her own trauma and trying to figure out who she is as a person. She's a hero in every sense of the word. This CGI shot of young Will is crazy. No doubt a flashback to when he was taken for the first time into the Upside Down when all of this started. We've seen him with his younger body double in Castle Byers and behind-the-scenes pictures from the production. And this is most definitely that same filming. It seems like a Demogorgon chased him up a tree at one point during his time in the Upside Down, and he has to jump from one tree to another to escape it. I wonder if canonically this is the same Demogorgon that comes into the real world and tries to get him in his house. That would be crazy if it was the same creature hunting him in both dimensions. There's actually a comic series that came out 2 years after season 1 that shows us Will's time in the Upside Down, and it was really good. I reference it a lot in other videos. They showed how he survived for those days, how he stayed hidden, how he communicated with Joyce through the lights. Maybe we'll have to sit down and take another look at it soon to see how it lines up with what they show us in season 5. We've also seen behind the scenes footage of young Will falling in what seems to be maybe the same sequence, maybe right after he jumps from the tree. It's kind of interesting that they're choosing to show us flashbacks to the original abduction. Maybe Will needs to remember exactly what happened to him. Maybe there's something from that experience that's key to defeating Vecna, or maybe it's just about bringing the story full circle. We started with Will's disappearance. It's only fitting that we end with Will finally processing that trauma and using it as strength. Noah Schnapp was so young when they filmed season 1. Seeing him now next to his younger self really shows how much time has passed, how much the show has evolved. These kids have literally grown up on screen, and we've grown with them. And then here we get our first look at a big new character. First up is Alex Bro, the same actor that's playing Dr. Brenner in the first Shadow stage play on Broadway right now, which is so cool. In the show, he plays a military insurgent or leader, possibly a new nemesis for Hopper or Murray, someone who they're eventually going to have to deal with. He's got this stern, authoritative look about him, but behind him is Linda Hamilton's character, Dr. K. We still don't know much about this new character, but it's really nice to finally get a look at her. Linda Hamilton is an absolute legend, known for Terminator obviously. Having her in Stranger Things is such a coup for the show. It seems like they're either in Hawkins' lab, like it will be a big point of interest this season, or possibly in the military facility by the portal. The setting looks very institutional, very government. From this shot and others we've seen, it looks like they're hunting down Hopper and 11. Maybe the military doesn't trust 11's powers. Maybe they want to study her or control her. Or maybe they blame Hopper for something that went wrong. Whatever their agenda is, having military antagonists, in addition to the supernatural threat of Vecna, makes things even more complicated. The gang won't just be fighting monsters, they'll be fighting human opposition too. That's always been a theme in Stranger Things, though. The real monsters are often the people in power who abuse that power. Dr. K, and this military character seem like they could be major obstacles for our heroes. I'm very curious to see how their storyline plays out, and whether they'll eventually come around to helping fight the Upside Down, or if they'll remain antagonists throughout. Next up, we get an awesome shot of the father-daughter duo, Hopper and 11, and here is another close-up showing their reactions to this giant wall of something. And it seems like they had the same reaction as we did when we first saw it. "You gross, and what on earth is that?" The wall they're looking at is covered in this fleshy, organic material. It's pulsing and moving like it's alive. It looks like the Upside Down itself has grown a wall, maybe to block off a certain area or to protect something. I think it would be so cool if this is the literal edge of the Upside Down, the furthest point you can go from where Will got taken originally. And it's like this in every direction, this boundary that even Vecna can't cross. Or maybe it's not a boundary keeping things out, but a boundary keeping something in. Maybe there's something even more dangerous than Vecna deeper in the Upside Down, and this wall is containing it. The look of disgust on both their faces is perfect. Hopper's seen a lot of gross stuff in his time, but this clearly ranks up there. And 11, who's literally fought interdimensional monsters with her mind, still thinks this is nasty. That tells you how disturbing this wall is. The special effects work on Stranger Things has always been incredible, and this wall looks appropriately horrifying. It's got that biomechanical quality that makes it unsettling. You can't tell if it's plant-like or animal-like or something else entirely. It's just wrong. Whatever it is, Hopper and 11 are going to have to deal with it somehow. Maybe they have to get past it. Maybe they have to destroy it. Either way, it's going to be gross. This shot is really weird. Look at this. It's beautiful in a terrifying way. But what is it? It seems like Jonathan and Nancy are together in the Upside Down still, possibly in or near Hawkins' lab, and they're staring at this anomaly. It's like they're watching this cloud get shocked by this blue electricity, and then it disintegrates. And if you look closely, it seems like we're looking at a giant hole blown in a building. You can see the edges of it here and over here. The walls look man-made, like concrete or metal. Something must have happened inside of Hawkins' lab. Either way, whatever this is, it's absolutely terrifying. The blue electricity is different from the usual red energy we associate with the Upside Down. It's almost like lightning, but more controlled, more intentional. Maybe it's some kind of weapon being used. Maybe it's a byproduct of the portal destabilizing. Maybe it's 11 using her powers in a new way. The cloud disintegrating is mesmerizing in a horrifying way. You can see it literally breaking apart molecule by molecule. Whatever caused this has incredible destructive power. The fact that Jonathan and Nancy are just standing there watching it suggests they're either far enough away to be safe, or they're too shocked to move. Probably a combination of both. I wonder if this is the result of something Vecna did or something the military tried. Maybe they attempted to close the portal using some kind of experimental technology, and this is what happened. Or maybe 11 and Vecna had a confrontation, and this is the collateral damage. The Duffer Brothers have always been good at creating these visually stunning but deeply unsettling moments. This definitely qualifies. And then right after, we cut to Steve and Dustin, still in the car, staring at something with binoculars, completely focused, possibly this giant electro cloud that Nancy and Jonathan are looking at. Maybe they're at a different vantage point, watching the same event unfold. Here's a good close-up of Dustin's face, after he had the run-in with the bullies. You can see the bruising on his face, but he looks absolutely terrified here, beyond just the physical injuries. This is real fear. This is watching something horrible happen, and knowing there's nothing you can do about it. I'm happy to see that he's getting more quality time with Steve, though. Their relationship has always been one of the best parts of the show. Steve became the babysitter, the protector, the cool older brother figure that Dustin needed. And Dustin brought out Steve's better qualities, his caring side, his heroism. They balance each other perfectly. Seeing them together in the car, Working as a team just feels right. Steve's probably trying to keep Dustin calm, while also dealing with his own fear about whatever they're witnessing. The binoculars suggest they're doing reconnaissance, staying back to observe and report rather than engaging directly. Smart move when you're dealing with forces beyond your understanding. I just hope both of them make it through this season. Steve's had so many close calls over the years. The Demobats nearly killed him in Season 4. Dustin's been in danger countless times too. They both deserve to survive and live happy lives. Maybe open that video store they joked about. Maybe Dustin goes off to college and invents something amazing. They've earned their happy endings. Next up is a great shot of some demo dogs. And would you look where they're at? They're in the hospital. Somehow, not only did Demogorgons get loose in Hawkins, but they made it into the hospital full of sick and wounded people. Easy prey for them. This is such a nightmare scenario, but we're ignoring the biggest thing in this shot. Max is out of bed. Although she's not moving on her own, she's definitely still unconscious, and Lucas and this nurse somehow managed to get her up and out of bed to escape the demo dogs. I really love the direct callback to Jurassic Park with the raptors hunting the kids in the kitchen. This scene is going to be so insanely intense when we see it play out. It would be mental if they chose this moment for Max to wake up. Could you imagine being asleep for over a year? The last thing you remember was your bones breaking and Vecna torturing you. And then you wake up lifeless to Lucas carrying you on the kitchen floor as you hide from hunting demo dogs. I would not be okay. I already know my heart is going to be racing during this scene. The demo dogs are so much faster and more agile than regular Demogorgons. They can squeeze through tight spaces, jump incredible distances, and their pack hunting behaviour makes them even more dangerous. Lucas is going to have to carry or drag Max while staying completely silent. One sound and the demo. Dogs will zero in on them. The nurse helping is interesting. It means not everyone in Hawkins is oblivious to what's happening. Some people are stepping up to help. Some people are being brave even though they're terrified. That's always been a theme in Stranger Things. Regular people finding courage in impossible situations. I really hope Max wakes up during or right after this. She deserves to be conscious for the final battle. She deserves to fight back. Here's a quick extension of the shot from the teaser of Hopper trying to save Eleven, most likely from Vecna's trance. It seems like they're either in Hawkins' lab or the military facility. It's pretty hard to tell the difference between the two with all the institutional hallways, but maybe this is just the new military setup at the portal site. Hopper's got his hands on Eleven's shoulders, shaking her, trying to bring her back. We've seen this before when Max was in Vecna's trance. You have to break through somehow, usually with music or strong emotional connection. Hopper's screaming her name probably, using their bond to pull her back. The panic on his face is heartbreaking. He just got her back. He just became her dad officially. The idea of losing her to Vecna must be unbearable. Eleven's face shows she's deep in the trance, completely under Vecna's control. Breaking free is going to take everything she has. This is awesome. We finally get a shot of the military fighting the upside-down monsters directly. There's 5 soldiers here, just laying into something off-screen, unloading their weapons. I'm sure these bullets will be less than effective against Demogorgons, though. There's 5 or 6 fallen soldiers behind them already, ensuring that we'll see some serious carnage this season. The military's been pretty useless against the Upside Down throughout the series. They have the weapons and training, but they don't understand what they're fighting. They don't know the weaknesses. They don't know that fire works better than bullets. They're going to learn the hard way. And if you notice, it seems like they're in the town in front of a shop that got boarded up after the portal ripped the street open. It almost looks like these are parking spots on the ground here. There were a lot of buildings in the near vicinity to the portal, so while they could still be in the military enclosure we saw earlier, we also saw demo dogs in the hospital confirming they're running around town freely. The military could be dispersed throughout Hawkins, fighting small battles all over the place. We haven't seen any Demobats yet, but I'm really curious if we'll see them return. I know that was a very Season 4 Creel House-centered thing, with them being Vecna's guards or extensions of his power, but it would be cool to see all the different monster types they introduced in each season return for the finale. Original Demogorgons, Demodogs, Demobats, maybe even the Mind Flayer itself taking physical form. Give us everything. This is the final season. Hold nothing back. Okay, so this is very concerning. Hopper and Eleven are down behind cover, receiving a lot of incoming fire through this wooden structure, and it seems like Eleven's been hit and Hopper is protecting her with his body. I mean, you can see Eleven's hand still holding onto Hopper, so she's not dead, but she could be really hurt. Blood on her clothing, maybe. I feel like once they made their way through the military facility and into the portal area, some military personnel started chasing them down, trying to shoot them for some reason. I guess this means the military won't be working together with our heroes this season. They're actively antagonistic. Maybe they blame Eleven for the portal existing. Maybe they think she's too dangerous to be left free. Maybe they want to capture her and use her as a weapon. Whatever their reasoning, they're willing to kill to stop her. Interestingly enough, I recognise this location. We've seen this before in behind-the-scenes footage. Just keep watching, and I'll explain in 1 minute when we see the full context. But for now, the important thing is that Eleven's in danger, and Hopper's doing what he does best, protecting his daughter at all costs. He's literally using his body as a shield. He's taking the risk that he gets shot instead of her. That's fatherhood right there. That's love. Eleven reaching for him shows she's still conscious, still fighting. She's not giving up. These two have been through so much together. They survived being separated for months. They survived the Russian prison. They're going to survive this too. Next we see Steve in the car with Dustin, Nancy and Jonathan as he absolutely floors it, driving at high speed. They're going through the portal under the McCorkle's farm. If you don't remember, we've been here before in Season 2. This is the farm Hopper went and checked out when all the pumpkins were dying, when the Upside Down was starting to infect the area. He then went to the neighbouring farm, the Merrills, and that's how he dug down and got lost in the tunnel system. The McCorkle farm has been connected to the Upside Down for years now. It makes sense there would be a portal here. And we've seen pre-visualization behind-the-scenes footage of them going through this portal sequence, and now to see the final shots, they did such a great job. These look so good. The car driving through the portal is such a dynamic visual. You can see the red energy swirling around them as they cross dimensions. It's crazy how, even in this trailer, it truly feels like everyone's already working on something, and they're all going 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's no downtime. There's no rest. From the moment this season starts, it's going to be non-stop action. Steve driving makes sense because he's the designated driver of the group. He's got the car skills. The fact that they're driving into the Upside Down rather than walking through like in previous seasons shows how much the situation has escalated. They need the speed and protection of a vehicle. The antenna on top of the car is going to keep them connected to the others, presumably. This is such a well-coordinated operation. Everyone has their role. Everyone knows what they're doing. This is what 4 seasons of fighting supernatural threats has trained them for. Here's the shot we saw from the teaser, with Joyce, Will, Robin, Derek, and I'm pretty sure that's Erica behind her. Last time we saw the door banging menacingly from the outside, which looked very ominous, but now we get the full scene with a full-blown Demogorgon bursting through the door. I have no idea if Joyce with just that axe will be able to take care of this monster. I am very worried all of a sudden with this group. I know she can go crazy and be a very aggressive, protective mama, but still. We've seen Joyce fight before. She's tougher than she looks, but a Demogorgon is a Demogorgon. It's not human. It doesn't feel pain the same way. Axes might work if you can get a good hit on the head, but it's going to be difficult and dangerous. We can also see the radio station van in the background and a couple other houses as if they're not in the middle of nowhere, but still kind of close to town. I feel like the farther all the groups split up, the more in danger I feel like they'll become. Splitting the party is always risky in D&D terms. You lose the strength of numbers, you lose the ability to support each other, but sometimes it's necessary to cover more ground or accomplish multiple objectives simultaneously. Joyce protecting these kids shows her character perfectly. She's always been the mum, not just to Will and Jonathan, but to all the kids. She'll fight a Demogorgon with an axe if that's what it takes. Plus, I'm really hoping they don't get split up for too long. I hope everyone has a lot of time interacting with all the other main characters. The best moments in Stranger Things come from character interactions and relationships. Next, we see this shot of Will rolling his eyes back into his head and falling to the ground. This is in the basement of the radio station, most likely right after we saw his eyes twitching at the beginning of the trailer during the burn operation. I really hope he does something powerful this season, where he's not so vulnerable all the time. I want to see the others care about him a little more, and him be a little bit more useful beyond just being the warning system. This is terrifying though. It seems like Vecna himself will be coming directly for Will through their connection. We can see all the lights in the background are still going haywire, flickering wildly, which always indicates upside down activity. But this is definitely after they start the burn. Will's connection to Vecna and the hive mind is both a curse and potentially a weapon. If he can learn to control it, to push back through the connection, he could hurt Vecna from the inside, but right now he's just being attacked. Vecna's using the connection to target him, to get inside his mind. Will's been through this before with the Mind Flayer possession in Season 2. He knows what it feels like to lose control of his own body and mind. The trauma of experiencing that again must be overwhelming. Someone needs to help him. Someone needs to snap him out of it before Vecna takes complete control. The fact that no one seems to be noticing or helping in this shot is concerning. Everyone's focused on their own tasks, their own problems. Will's suffering alone again. That's been his character arc for too long. Let someone save him this time. Let someone see him and help him. Here we get a shot of Nancy cocking the shotgun and aiming it upwards at something above her. I wonder if this is right before the giant electro cloud we saw earlier, or if she's aiming at a different threat entirely. This shot is just so weird because of what we see in the background. It's most likely they're still in the upside down here, probably in Hawkins' lab like we've been seeing. But what on earth is all of this white slimy stuff running down the walls and all over the floors? That is so nasty looking. There's no way it's just paint, right? It looks like the walls just melted away completely, which is crazy. It looks so different from the normal Stranger Things upside down aesthetic. Usually everything is dark and covered in vines and particles. This white stuff is new. It's unsettling. Maybe it's some kind of infection or growth. Maybe it's a byproduct of whatever that blue electricity explosion was. The consistency looks thick and viscous, like it's oozing down the walls. I would not want to touch it. I would not want to know what it does to people who come into contact with it. Nancy's not focused on the walls though. She's focused on the threat above. Whatever's up there, she's ready to shoot it. Nancy's become such a capable fighter over the seasons. She doesn't hesitate anymore. She sees a threat. She eliminates it. The shotgun is her weapon of choice and she's deadly with it. I'm excited to see what she's aiming at and whether she hits her target. Nancy doesn't miss often. And then next we get our first Murray update. We see a Demogorgon chasing a Bradley's big buy box truck. Say that 5 times fast. And from the looks of it, it seems like a Demogorgon already got its hands on the truck, damaged it somehow. And now another one is literally chasing them down the road. I wonder how Murray working at Bradley's Big Buy will be used in the plot besides him stealing this box truck for transportation. Maybe they need to transport large equipment they need to fight Vecna. Maybe they need to move people to safety. Or maybe Murray just happened to be at work when everything went crazy and he grabbed the keys and ran. But you know what's even crazier about this shot? This looks like a unique Demogorgon, a specific one that we haven't seen in 6 years now. Back when Season 3 came out, at the end, there was a post-credit scene that showed us the Russians captured a Demogorgon while they were in Hawkins and brought it back with them to Russia. It looked very distinctly different from all the other Demogorgons we've seen in the show, and even the other Demogorgons we saw being held in Russia looked a little different. This one looks more white or pale. I'd be really surprised if the Russians will still play a role this season. I feel like they concluded the Russian story arc as much as they were going to in Season 4 with the prison break and everything. We still have so many unanswered questions, though. I would love to see answers to them, but I would just be shocked if this is the exact same Demogorgon from Russia. Maybe under certain circumstances, Demogorgons will lose their colour and turn white, and this one was being tested on by the military at Hawkins, and just like the Russian one, it lost its colour too. Either way, it's really cool to see another rare white Demogorgon. Murray driving a box truck being chased by monsters is peak Murray energy. Now this is scary. It seems like this is Mike's mom and sister, Karen and Holly Wheeler, in possibly their bathtub hiding from something. In the first frame, if you look at the top of the scene, you can see something dark here, hovering above them menacingly. And we saw this scene in the last teaser, a shot of them terrified, holding on to each other for dear life. And with all the shots of Demogorgons running through town, attacking people, it's safe to say that some demo dogs have found them, and they're trying to hide underwater from them, to mask their scent and hide. I really hope it works, but part of me feels like it won't. Demo dogs have incredible senses. They can track heat and movement as well as scent. Hiding underwater might buy them some time, but eventually they'll have to come up for air. The Wheeler family has been relatively safe throughout most of the series. They've been adjacent to the danger, but not usually directly in it. That's changing now. The upside down has come for everyone, including Karen and Holly. Mike's going to lose his mind when he finds out his mum and little sister are in danger. He's been protective of his family even when he doesn't show it openly. Nancy too. Both of them will stop at nothing to save their family. The fact that they're in the bathtub suggests they're at home when this happens. The monsters have come to their house. Nowhere is safe anymore. Hawkins has fallen. And then this next shot is Robin in a new outfit, specifically in the shirt they kept blurring out in all the behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. But what is so special about this shirt? This specific picture is of Tom Waits, a big singer in the 80s, while this may just be a head nod to the notorious Tom Waits t-shirt that Winona Ryder has had since she was a teenager. I wonder if his music will play an integral part in this final season with songs like Hell Broke Loose or Underground or Time or I Don't Want to Grow Up or The Earth Died Screaming. There's so many cool Tom Waits songs that we could hear behind some of the crazier moments in this show. His music has that perfect blend of weird and melancholy that fits Stranger Things perfectly. I just don't know if it was worth blurring out all of her shirts in the behind-the-scenes pictures, but maybe it'll play a bigger role than we think. Maybe Tom Waits' music is what saves someone from Vecna's trance. Maybe it's playing during a pivotal emotional scene. Robin's character has always been about music and movies and pop culture knowledge. Having her wear a Tom Waits shirt fits her personality. She's the cool, alternative one. She knows the deep cuts. She's not wearing a Madonna or Cyndi Lauper shirt like everyone else might be. She's wearing Tom Waits. That tells you everything you need to know about Robin. She's unique, she's thoughtful, she's a little bit outside the mainstream. Love her. Next, we see what Robin might possibly be looking up at, and this is the radio station tower being engulfed in mind flayer particles. These are the same particles that went inside of Will in Season 2, as well as the same particles that the Russians captured under the Starcourt Mall and took back to Russia to study. It's so cool to already get a tease of the mind flayer returning because since Season 4, almost the entirety of the show has been taken over by Vecna being the main antagonist, whereas in all of Seasons 1 through 3, it was solely the mind flayer. So it's really cool to see that we haven't forgotten about it entirely. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how the mind flayer and Vecna's relationship, their understanding, both trying to capture 11 or take over the world, will be expanded on in this final season. The mind flayer is this massive ancient entity. Vecna is powerful, but he's still human in origin. How do they work together? Is Vecna controlling the Mind Flayer? Or is the Mind Flayer using Vecna? Or are they partners in some twisted way? I just wonder what they want with the radio tower. Are they going to be able to physically destroy it with just these particles swarming around it? Or take it over somehow? Or maybe intercept the signal to listen in on the kids' plans? The radio tower is their main means of communication. If the Mind Flayer takes it out, the groups lose coordination. They lose the ability to warn each other or call for help. That would be a devastating tactical loss. This shot of Nancy wiping blood off her hands and crying is terrifying. The blood is clearly not hers based on how she's looking at it. I really hope that Jonathan doesn't die in this season. It's going to be really interesting to see who they kill off, since this is the final season and they have no more consequences to worry about. TV shows can be ruthless with final seasons. This could be in the radio tower bathroom, or possibly in the hospital where she'll be helping out a lot this season. And especially after the demo dog outbreak in the hospital, there's going to be a lot of casualties. Nancy might be trying to help people, trying to save lives, and failing. The blood on her hands could be from someone she couldn't save, or it could be Jonathan's blood, which is the worst case scenario. And what's crazy is, while these scenes are playing in the back, Hopper says that wherever this blood leads, I need you to fight one last time. So ominous. He's definitely hyping up a final battle. Maybe they need to follow the blood trail Vecna left behind when Nancy shot him out of the Creel attic in season 4. It did seem like Eleven was in the attic earlier in this trailer, and Hopper was with her inside the Upside Down. That would be crazy if they tried to track Vecna down like that, following his blood like you'd track an injured animal. It's also been so long though. I feel like his blood wouldn't still be there, but it is the Upside Down. What if time works differently there? What if they found the trail and followed it all the way to the edge of the Upside Down? That would be insane. Maybe Vecna can go beyond the frozen 1983 version of Hawkins. Maybe he's been hiding in some deeper, darker part of the Upside Down. And while Hopper's saying this about fighting one last time, we cut to a close-up shot on Will's eyes. He's all sweaty and out of it, almost like he's about to pass out or he's drifting in and out of consciousness. I wonder if Vecna's got him in a trance again, or if he's woozy from using his upgraded powers and he's not doing so hot. Will's been the punching bag for so much of this series. Let him have a win. Let him be powerful. Let him fight back instead of just enduring. The sweat and the exhaustion could mean he's been fighting Vecna internally, battling for control of his own mind. That takes energy. That takes strength. Even if he's not physically fighting, the mental battle is just as draining. Will's one of the strongest characters in the show, even though he rarely gets credit for it. He survived a week in the Upside Down as a little kid. He survived being possessed by the Mind Flayer. He's endured so much trauma, and he's still here, still fighting, but this next shot is really concerning. Steve hugging Dustin in the Upside Down, holding him tight. It looks like this is close to Hawkins' lab, maybe inside of it. And last we saw, Nancy and Jonathan were both staring down this giant electro death portal cloud thing. I don't know what happened that has Dustin crying like this, sobbing into Steve's shoulder. I mean, he's such a sweet person that if he had to deal with death again up close and personal, no matter who it was in the group, I could see him crying like this. He's already lost Eddie. Losing someone else would break him. I'm worried we're going to need so many more tissues than normal to watch this season. Steve comforting Dustin is beautiful, though. Steve has become such a good person over the course of this show. He went from the popular jerk to the caring babysitter to the genuine hero, and his relationship with Dustin is at the heart of that transformation. Whatever Dustin's crying about, Steve's there for him. Steve's not trying to tell him to toughen up or be a man or any of that toxic nonsense. He's just holding him, letting him cry, being present. That's what real strength looks like. That's what real friendship looks like. I'm not ready for whatever made Dustin cry. I'm not emotionally prepared for this season at all. Here's an extension of the behind-the-scenes picture we got a while ago. Hopper and 11 suiting up ready for battle. It looks like they're in the military facility, about to go into the Upside Down, through the massive portal we saw earlier. Either that or the military is onto them, and they'll have to push their way through them first before they can even get to the portal. The gear they're wearing suggests they're going in prepared this time. No more running into danger unprepared. They've got protective clothing, weapons, equipment. Hopper's got his rifle ready. 11's got her powers back, which are the best weapon anyone could have. I can't wait to see 11 finally back with her full powers. This is going to be so awesome. She's been depowered and struggling for most of Season 4. Now she's back to full strength. Now she can fight Vecna on equal terms. Then we get a shot of Hopper in the same jacket, but with this new hat on instead of his beanie. He's holding 11 while she's in some kind of specialised contraption, probably for a deprivation tank session, and he says, "Let's end this, kid." As if everything has come back to this moment. 11 and her new papa, her real father. It's about to end. He's been hyping her up to find and kill Vecna. I cannot wait. This moment is so powerful. "Let's end this, kid," perfectly captures their relationship. He's her dad, but he's also her partner in this fight. He believes in her completely. He knows she can do this. She's the only one who can defeat Vecna. It's always come down to her. Since the very beginning, since she opened that first gate in Season 1, it's been 11 against the Upside Down. Now it ends where it started. It seems like she's in some specialty apparatus for a deprivation tank, because next it cuts to her in the tub in Hopper's cabin from earlier, where she's wearing the wetsuit. As if these scenes are stitched together to show she's about to go into the void and find Vecna's location. She's going hunting. She's going to track him down using her powers, find exactly where he's hiding, and then they're going to go finish this. The determination on both their faces is incredible. They're not scared. Well, maybe they're scared, but they're not letting fear stop them. They're doing what needs to be done. Hopper's given her his blessing. He's told her he believes in her. Now it's time for 11 to do what she was always meant to do. End the threat, close the gates, save the world. And now next, this is what I was waiting to show you. Remember that shot of 11 wounded and Hopper protecting her with his body while they're being shot at behind that fallen structure? So this is right after or before that. Don't worry, 11's not dead. You can see her move her feet here slightly, but Hopper takes 2 grenades and just tosses them straight up into the air over his shoulders, casually. And that's when I recognised this location. This was the only shot they showed us of Hopper for the longest time on a monitor. Just a split second in the behind-the-scenes video. And this is where he was. He lets the pins go on the grenades and tosses them over this wooden wall, which from the next shot we can see is a fallen billboard inside the Upside Down. The grenades explode in the air and send what look to be 2 military soldiers flying, ending their immediate problem. And if you look really closely, for only 3 frames, you can see Turnbow is visible on the billboard. This is the real estate family of Hawkins. That's Derek's family. The Turnbow Trap is the name of the 3rd episode, so we will definitely be seeing a lot of this family in Season 5. But seeing the billboard here in the Upside Down means that it's been here since 1983, when everything got frozen. It's also possible that this shot in the behind-the-scenes video was of the guards getting blown up, and then they just replaced everything with CGI for proper lighting and effects. It looks like possibly this is the corner of the billboard falling into the ground on the edge here from the explosion. Hopper using grenades like that is so badass. He didn't even look. He just trusted his aim and timing. Military training at its finest. The fact that he's fighting human soldiers in the Upside Down is wild. The real enemy should be Vecna and the monsters, but humans are fighting each other, even in the middle of an apocalypse. After this, we see a terrifying shot of current day, Will being trapped and held in some sort of thorny upside-down vine bush, completely tangled. This looks so scary. I would not want to be him right now, or ever for that matter. The vines are wrapped around his body, holding him in place. He can't move. He can't escape. It's like the upside down itself is grabbing him, claiming him as its own. But it's really cool to see how much terror Noah Schnapp can fill Will's eyes with. This and the final shot of the first teaser where he's running, both insane performances. I feel like he really leveled up since season 4. He's showing a range and intensity that he didn't have before. Or maybe he had it but didn't get the chance to show it. Will's been on the sidelines a lot. Now he's front and centre again. Now he gets to show what he can do as an actor. And he's nailing it. The fear in his eyes is so real and visceral. And here's Holly in the kitchen about to get taken by Vecna most likely, facing the camera with this terrified expression. So weird he's coming for all the kids in this season. I guess that's one way to make him an even more hated villain. Going after children is universally understood as evil. But why kids specifically? It looks like she's in the kitchen here in her house, the Wheeler home kitchen. She was actually in her kitchen in the behind-the-scenes shot they showed us of her character. But in this moment, she's not wearing this cool cloak she has on here. That cloak must be from a different scene. Maybe when Mike's protecting her and the other kids. Holly's the youngest Wheeler child. She's been in the background for most of the series. Now she's being targeted directly. Vecna doesn't care about age or innocence. He'll hurt anyone to get what he wants. Mike and Nancy are going to lose their minds trying to protect her. Geez, this is a shot of Lucas with blood all over his t-shirt on the ground. Some kind of earthy rock texture around him, staring down something that can definitely kill him. It's crazy how many main characters are directly in harm's way this season. I really wonder who they're going to kill off. You know what? I'm curious what you guys think. Who do you think will die in season 5? Place your votes in the comments. I'm really interested to see what everyone's predictions are. Lucas has been in so many dangerous situations throughout the series, but he's always survived, always made it through. But with blood all over his shirt like this, clearly injured, vulnerable on the ground, this might be his closest call yet. He's wearing the same jacket and possibly same button-up underneath as he was in this shot running down the halls of Hawkins High with Mike. He has a backpack on too, as if he was just at school. Maybe part of me wondered if this is even real or if it's a nightmare sequence. I think it is real based on other scenes we're about to see. But aside from that, I wonder if he'll be dealing with trauma this season from seeing Max almost die in his arms. That acting Caleb McLaughlin did when Max was getting crushed was so real and raw. I didn't even think about how that moment might have affected Lucas psychologically. I wouldn't be surprised if he has nightmares this season of not being able to save Max, of watching her die over and over again. Survivor's guilt is real, and Lucas has been carrying the weight of Max's condition for over a year. Now he's in his own life-threatening situation. Now he needs someone to save him. And then here's our first look at Murray, and he's with Robin. This is so exciting. We got a behind-the-scenes promo picture of them together a long time ago. It looks like they'll actually be spending a decent amount of time together this season, which is interesting. Murray and Robin have never really interacted much before. Murray's usually off with Joyce and Hopper doing their own thing. Robin's been with Steve and the younger kids, but now they're together. It looks like they're out at the radio station, listening to the gang over the walkie-talkies, maybe waiting to move out or help with something. Murray looks great in that hat and the jacket, so stylish, and I love that he's not hesitating to use his work trucks to save the world. He just grabbed the keys to the Bradley's big buy truck and went. The fact that he works at a big box store is kind of hilarious for a former journalist and Russian translator. But that's Murray. He's adaptable, he does what needs to be done, and Robin and Murray's dynamic is going to be really interesting. They're both incredibly intelligent. They're both good at figuring things out. They're both a little awkward, socially, but brilliant in their own ways. I think they'll work well together. Whoa, check this out. Steve and the gang are driving through people's front yards, crashing through fences in this scene at high speed. It doesn't look like they're out at the McCorkle's farm anymore, but in the middle of town somewhere. I wonder if this is after they come back from the portal, escaping back into the real world. It feels like them crashing through these fences means they're in immediate danger, and they just came back from the upside down, and something's chasing them. Demogorgons or demo dogs or something worse. I absolutely love the antenna bolted to the top of the car too. This is so DIY. This is so Stranger Things. Duct tape and determination and ingenuity. Steve driving through yards and fences shows how desperate the situation is. Traffic laws don't matter when you're being chased by interdimensional monsters. Property damage doesn't matter when the world is ending. We get a couple frames of a random shot of the military running and jumping through the woods, most likely chasing down Hopper and 11 or something else. They're in full tactical gear, moving fast. Whatever they're after, they're serious about catching it. The military's been positioned as antagonists for most of this trailer, which is such an interesting choice. Usually the military in these stories either helps the heroes or stays out of the way. Here they're actively making things harder. They're another obstacle to overcome, in addition to Vecna and the monsters. Now this shot is interesting. Nancy and 11 bursting into a house, kicking the door open, Nancy raising up the shotgun immediately, and 11 coming around the corner, absolutely shocked at what she's looking at. They both look like they're in the same outfits they were in at the start of the trailer, when they were monitoring the burn from the radio station. 11 grabbed a jacket with a hood and threw it up, most likely to conceal her identity, as if they had to rush off at a moment's notice. I love this look on her, but I wonder if they're checking in on a distress call they picked up over the radio, Nancy with the shotgun and 11 with her powers. That's a pretty effective rapid response team. Maybe they're monitoring Hawkins in some way to try to help people who have encounters with monsters, like a supernatural 911. That's kind of cool to see this duo together. Nancy and 11 don't have a ton of scenes together usually, but they're both such strong characters. Having them team up is exciting. I hope the situation they're responding to isn't Mike's house. I hope it's not Holly getting taken or Karen in danger. But based on the shocked look on 11's face, whatever they found is bad. Really bad. She's seen a lot of terrible things, fought a lot of monsters. For her to be shocked means this is something unexpected, something worse than what they were prepared for. Here's a quick shot of someone adjusting a dial in the radio station, fine-tuning the frequency. And then next is what looks to be Will's eyeball in extreme close-up. The reflection looks like the basement of the radio station. And with the harsh push inwards toward his eye, it feels like this is Vecna going into Will's mind, entering through their connection. They've done similar close-ups when stuff like this happens before, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was something similar. Plus, this would kind of explain his eye twitching in the first scene. Vecna's been trying to get into Will's head from the very beginning of this sequence. I feel so bad for Will already. He can't catch a break. It kind of looks like this shot goes straight into a tunnel shot. It looks like we went into Will's eye, and now we're following the kids through some more tunnels. Although, these look brighter, and not as wet as the upside-down tunnels usually are. These look kind of man-made and like they're in the real world, maybe underground bunkers or maintenance tunnels. And the person in the back is Lucas, based on the clothing and build. And this means this is probably the location the other shot of him on the ground was in. This texture we didn't recognise before was dirt and earthy walls. Whatever's chasing them catches up to Lucas. As for the other two people with him, it's really hard to tell who they are. They both look smaller than Lucas, like they're children that Vecna is after. One is wearing a dress, which I don't think we've seen on any main character yet, and the other is in a green jacket. So it could be that kid Mike is protecting in other shots, but it's a wild guess. These could be random Hawkins children that got caught up in everything. Maybe the kids from that bunker we saw earlier. Erica looks really cool here with the poodle shirt. I love this look on her. She's taking the protective cap off a needle, preparing some kind of injection. And this looks to be the Turnbow house, which seems to be where they go to get the kid Derek we see at the farm later. If this is a sedative, I wonder if it's for Derek or for his parents. Maybe Derek has some kind of condition that requires medication, or maybe his parents are hysterical and need to be calmed down, or maybe it's something else entirely. Erica being the one to Handle the medical stuff makes sense. She's smart, she's capable, she doesn't panic, she'll do what needs to be done, even if it's scary or difficult. The fact that they're dealing with needles and sedatives suggests this situation is more complicated than just grabbing someone and running. And next is a crazy shot of 11 flying. I mean, we were just joking about this possibility, but it actually looks like she'll be flying in season 5. And I'm sure they tried to pull this off as grounded as possible while still being spectacular. It looks like she's using her powers to push away from the ground, creating this shockwave we can see radiating outward. And I mean, we did see her levitate back in season 2 when she closed the giant portal at Hawkins' lab, but that was closer to hovering, floating in place. This is active propulsion. This is movement and speed. She is literally going to be flying at Vecna this season. Crazy. It's cool that she's out here practicing in the junkyard from season 1. We saw behind the scenes pictures of her out here with her parents, Hopper and Joyce. And I wonder if they'll be out here helping her learn a bunch of new powers or expand her existing abilities. That would kind of be really cool. Training montage, but with superpowers. 11 pushing herself to new limits. She's already incredibly powerful. Imagine if she masters new techniques, new applications of her abilities. Flight is just the beginning. What else can she do that she hasn't tried yet? Can she shield others? Can she heal? Can she create portals? The possibilities are endless. And with Hopper and Joyce there supporting her, encouraging her, she's going to reach new heights, literally. And then we see a sick new shot of the start of the Demogorgon invasion of Hawkins. This one absolutely erupts from the ground, with soldiers all around him, bursting up through the earth. It would be so crazy if like 10 of these popped out everywhere, all at once, and just obliterated the soldiers before they could react. We also saw the preliminary shots right before this in the first teaser, the ground rumbling and bulging. So it's nice to see that literal demogorgons is what all the knocking and banging around town was. They were digging their way up from the tunnels underneath Hawkins. Same with the barn being smashed in that we saw. Demogorgons breaking through. This next one is a really cool shot. It looks like Joyce is standing over Will or one of the kids they're protecting in this shot, defending them. But I mean, just look at the carnage behind them. 7 dead soldiers lying on the ground. The lights are all flickering wildly. And in the next shot we see Mike and all the little kids' heads around him that he's protecting. And would you look at where they are? They're outside Melvald's general store. This is Joyce's old job from season 1. Yeah, the season 1 job she had, but also the same job she had when she was a teenager attending Hawkins High School. Back in the back day, of course, it was Melvald's diner, and she was a waitress there. But it's crazy to see it still here this far in the future. I wonder if it will survive the final season, or if it'll be destroyed in the battle. This looks very similar to where all the guards were shooting from earlier in the teaser, trying to fight off monsters, and then the big reveal of what they're all looking at is Vecna himself. But real quick, let's just take a second to appreciate this wonderful silhouette that he's making. Does anyone recognize this pose? Honestly, it kind of gives me the vibes closer to the original outline of the Demogorgon that came and got Will back in season 1. It's much less like a human and much more bumpy and rigid. It looks like since he's recovered from being set on fire and blasted out of his attic window, he has a much larger hand now, or claw. And in the only picture we've seen of him so far, they've obscured one of his eyes, really playing into the D&D lore behind his character, being a lich with special eyes. But this is what I'm talking about. His shoulders and elbow joints are much bigger, and he looks a lot less human in this form, more like a monster, and I really like it. I feel like it'll be more scary and intimidating, and the lighting for this scene is gorgeous too. What a reveal. And then right after this shot he says, "Found you." This sent chills down my spine. Now I know how Will feels when Vecna's hunting him. This is so eerie and menacing, but this has to be directed at 11. I feel like that's what his entire goal has been this whole time. Finding her. Either that or maybe it's Will now that he's after him too. Both options are terrifying. We are not okay here. And then next we get our first peek at new Season 5 Vecna in detail. Well, just his backside, but still, this looks so much more intense than last season. This looks incredible. Nothing like the comparison to the Grinch that some people were making about Season 4 Vecna. I don't know what you're talking about. And this fire here is nuts. It almost looks like Vecna is repelling the fire somehow, or controlling it. Originally, I was thinking some flamethrower soldiers tried to take him on, and he's pushing the fire away from him with his powers. But I don't think he has fire powers specifically. It's his weakness. That would be weird if fire was both his weakness and something he could control. I really love how all these vines and tendrils on his back are pointing towards the fire, the point of interest where he's using his powers. Not only is this so much more scary and intimidating, but them flexing and moving just feels like such a nice attention to detail. It looks like they're reaching out too, so he's using more power, exerting himself. Now, believe it or not, this scene is taking place right on top of where we saw the last shot. Yep, right where Joyce, Mike and Will are standing now. If you pause at just the right moment, you can actually see in all caps, Jace on the left side of the fire, the hair salon, and Melvald's on the right side of the fire. This is the front of Melvald's here in this shot with Vecna. And just for a wider angle of context, this is what the street looks like in the show. Here's John's, which is a hairdresser spot, and here's Radio Shack, and then Melvald's, and they're literally right across the street from the library where the portal is. If we wanted to, we could go back and see in the opening aerial shot of the trailer. This is the portal right here at the library, which is probably where Vecna comes out of, and then you walk right down this ramp here. And across the street is Melvald's in case Vecna needs to go shopping for anything or something, and then this one over here is probably John's just in case he needs a new hairdo. They're probably standing right around here in the street when Vecna appears. And with the aftermath of Will slumped over in Joyce's arms that we saw, I really wonder who's going to oppose Vecna here. Could this be where him and Will face off for the first time with Will's new powers? It doesn't seem like Eleven's anywhere around. She's probably dealing with something else, fighting somewhere else. I think this would be such an awesome place to showcase Will's powers for the first time. Let him step up. Let him be the hero. Let him face Vecna directly and fight back. This is personal for Will. Vecna took him in Season 1. The Mind Flayer possessed him in Season 2. He's been connected to this evil for so long. Let him end it. Let him be powerful. And of course, this is where they end the trailer, with Vecna standing there in the flames. And boy, was that a lot of new information. I should have put a spoiler warning on this video. This trailer gave us so much more than anyone expected. We got character moments, action sequences, plot reveals, new monsters, emotional beats, everything. If you enjoyed this deep dive breakdown, make sure you're subscribed because I've got so many more Stranger Things videos coming. Theory videos, Easter egg hunts, character analyses, speculation about the ending. We're going to be talking about this show non-stop until it releases. Go vote on who you think will die in Season 5 in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.